Hey everybody, this is Brandon Ford and welcome to the Blind Rage podcast. For this week's TV episode, it is Tales from the Crypt, Operation Friendship from Season 6. And I am using the DVD version. If you want to watch along, I'm not sure where you can find this particular episode because from what I hear, Season 6 is so unpopular that there are only very few episodes of it on YouTube. So, I don't know. You're welcome to have a look, but I haven't searched myself. There's always Vimeo. Anyway, before we get into the episode, I need to get some plugs out of the way. Please don't forget to check out my books in paperback and Kindle editions by going to Amazon, Amazon.com, or the Amazon app, typing in Brandon Ford. There you'll find my titles in, did I say Kindle and paperback? Probably. Kindle and paperback editions, as well as my Amazon author page. You can find my books in audiobook format by going to audible.com or the Audible app, typing in Brandon Ford. If you don't already, please follow me on Instagram at writer Brandon Ford, all one word, on Twitter at Brandon Ford. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, critiques, suggestions, criticisms, recommendations, feel free to email me directly at blindragepod81@gmail.com. Lastly, if you could take just a few seconds to rate and or review the podcast, I would really appreciate it. As many ratings and reviews the show gets, the more exposure it gets, the more it comes up in algorithms. So it only takes a couple seconds, regardless of the platform you're on, just to give a star rating if you're not really into writing reviews, which I know not very many people are. So yeah, even if you don't want to give me 5 stars, although 5 stars would be preferred. 5 stars would make me a little bit happier. You know what would make me really happy? If I could find the fucking remote so that we could start the episode. Where did you go? Where did you go? Where did you go? Here you are. Alright. So we are going to begin Operation Friendship in 3, 2, 1, play. It's so funny. I accidentally broke out season 7 when I was trying to find season 6 for this episode, and I have said several times in several different commentaries for Tales from the Crypt the way it's interesting how they kept adding more to the opening, how it went from the first couple of seasons not having this opening sequence to season 3 and 4 and 5 having it, and then you get to season 6 and you get the Home Box Office Presents before this opening title sequence, which they didn't do before. And then I put in season 7, as I said, accidentally, because why the fuck else would I put season 7 in if it wasn't an accident? And I said an accident, not on accident. But it's so funny because on season 7, it has that static with the HBO original programming logo at the beginning of the episode. So they keep adding more and more and more to the beginning of every episode with the progression of the seasons. I don't know. It's probably not all that interesting to you, but I think it's interesting regardless. So this is Operation Friendship. It is very, very hard to talk about this episode without talking about how remarkably similar it is to Drop Dead Fred. And it's a mixture of Drop Dead Fred and the My Brother's Keeper episode. Although that wasn't an imaginary friend, they were Siamese twins. But there was one who was very much like the Tate Donovan character in this episode, who was very timid and straight-laced and, low-key and shit. And then there was the Siamese twin, who is very much like the Peter, I think it's Peter Dobson character in this one, who's the imaginary friend, who is crazy, off the wall, wants to party, wants to have fun, encourages him to go out on dates and blah blah blah, and gets him into trouble a lot too. So we also have Michelle Burke in this episode. I'm not really all that familiar with her stuff, but I know she's known for some stuff. I don't know if I said this already. I probably did. But, yeah, I think I did. But I'll say it again. I really wasn't planning on doing... I really wasn't planning on cracking into Season 6 for these podcasts, because Season 6 is... what do you call it? What would be the appropriate term? It is the final farewell before the show completely tanks and goes over to England for the 7th season, the 7th and final season. But the quality of the show definitely disintegrates in season 6. That is very much evident. The episodes are more comedic. They are rehashed versions of earlier episodes. Some of the bigwigs who worked on the show had gone by this point, so it's pretty obvious that things had taken a downturn, and even the subplots in a lot of the episodes were cliched. I mean, like this whole subplot here with Tate Donovan's character being taken advantage of by a coworker who steals his ideas. How many fucking times has that been done in not only TV shows but movies, everywhere? It's so fucking cliche. And Tate's character is someone who works very hard, who's very smart, who's able to create all these kinds of different programs in his sleep. And by the way, I think this show, this particular episode, as mediocre as it is ahead of its time, in that there's a lot of references to different kinds of technology. And there's a scene where Michelle Burke's character, who plays a neighbor, she asks, she wants to get Chinese food, and he goes to his computer. He says, I have a program, and he's able to find a Chinese restaurant that delivers, and it has ratings, and so he knows that it'll take a little while for it to be delivered. And she says, I don't want to eat in tonight. And he finds another one that is close by for her to go to. So it's kind of like the equivalent of an iPhone, or an app for a smartphone. And these are things that you could do easily on your computer now, and that you could do easily, 10 years ago, 10 years plus. Who the fuck am I kidding? But yeah, I mean, what is this, 95? This was this stuff of like fucking, um, this stuff of myth. I mean, who the fuck? I remember when the movie The Net with Sandra Bullock came out, how cutting edge that was, and how ahead of its time that was, and that it was such a big deal when she ordered a pizza over the internet. And yeah, I think this was definitely around the time when AOL was starting to become slightly more, or people were getting AOL in their homes, and chat rooms are becoming popular and things like that. But this was definitely, we were still some years off before computers were in every home, and or in every pocket, and anybody could find a Chinese restaurant, um, with just a few keystrokes. So here he is. He's looking for Szechuan. Does she even use the phone? I don't think she does. While Peter Dobson is a bit over the top and a bit crazy, I think he's kind of funny and charming in an obnoxious kind of way. I think Tate's character is a little too smart. And his name is Nelson, by the way. Nelson is also the name of John Aston's character in the um in the fuck top billing episode. People who are this smart are genuinely very much socially challenged. I think it is a bit far-fetched that he is able to do all these things, not only create all these complex programs on his for the company, but he's also able to speak different languages, especially one as complex as Chinese. People who are total brains like this, they can't really talk about anything outside of their own world. But then again, I guess it makes sense because that's why he has his imaginary friend. This is so fucking drop dead Fred. It's ridiculous. I can't remember his name off the top of my head now. Fuck. But Peter Dobson, his voice anyway. I can't see him, and I don't remember this episode. I don't remember a lot of the episodes from season 6 very well, except for one, only because I recorded it. I think I even recognized how bad the show had gotten, and I think I might have just like fallen out with it. But there's one episode from this season that I recorded on a VHS when it first aired, and because it was on a VHS tape with some other stuff, I would watch it on occasion, and that's the only reason why I know it. But I do remember this one. I don't remember watching it when it aired. I must have seen it for the first time on the DVD, and I really didn't remember much about it at all until... So, I mean, so I had to refamiliarize myself with it before recording this commentary. So I had to listen to the audio and check out a review or two about the episode. Even though I was able to follow it pretty well, I mean, it's not one that relies heavily on visuals. A lot of it is dialogue driven, so I was able to follow it pretty closely. It still doesn't make it a very good episode, though. And I really don't like the ending. Because I don't think that we are meant to like the Peter Dobson character, the imaginary friend, because you're supposed to see him as a bad influence because he's encouraging Nelson to stay in this cage that he's in and not to date or have a social life or any real friends. And
Come on, Jack, just leave me alone. So this is the office, huh? And that dickhead, I think it was Jack. Eddie, thank God you're here.
And
Well, you know, I've been here and there, you know, thinking about things. Boy, no wonder you never brought me here. Snooze-a-rama. So, how things with you and the missus?
this is kind of confusing because it seems like, you know,
I guess you're right. You are my only friend. I hate to be the one to say that I told you so, but I told you so.
it seems like
She had some great ideas.
this is only the next day, but it's actually been like 2 weeks. She's been sick for 2 weeks with some kind of bug, and then she comes back.
Anything on the net tonight? Nah, nothing but newbies. Probably have some
Newbies, oh my god, I remember that word from the chat rooms. I was a regular in certain chat rooms, and whenever somebody would pop in for the first time, they'd be like, oh, look, a newbie.
How are you?
Well, much better now, actually. The day after we had dinner, I woke up sick as a dog.
Are you kidding? Oh my God! It was what was the Chinese? Was it?
No, nothing like that. I mean, you work around kids and all sorts of things.
Oh yeah, yeah. So you know you should have called me because I would have come over. I knocked, but
Well, I didn't do that. And I would have called you, but, phone company couldn't tell stay. So, anyway.
But yeah, I think the ending is very unsatisfying because the...
How about dinner?
And I really don't know if it makes sense because...
Great.
I mean, he's definitely... Eddie is supposed to be Nelson's imaginary friend, But for Eddie to take over and become the dominant part of Nelson's brain, you would have to think that it would be something a little deeper than that. That Nelson is more of a split personality than he is just a lonely guy who has to rely on people who aren't there for company.
Well, I still have a lot of unpacking to do. Thank you. You know, I've been thinking a lot about you.
And I really don't like the way Tay Donovan acts after the Eddie character becomes
Such a great time.
his personality.
Just
He becomes this, he goes from being this kind of likable dork to this total jackass. And I think he even takes the Eddie character or the Eddie persona to another level.
never felt anything quite like it. Do you mind if I kiss you?
What woman says that? Do you mind if I kiss you? I'm not buying that.
Is it good for you too? Okay, you got what you wanted. Now let's move on. Move on. You and her over.
I was trying to say before, Peter Dobson in this episode reminds me of, I can't remember the actor's name, but he does one of the voices on the Netflix show Big Mouth.
Close, but no cigar. Eddie? I figured out lots of things while I was away, Nelson.
Can't remember his name.
You don't have to tell me. I wasn't planning to.
But I think Peter Dobson got cast in this episode because this was a Robert Zemeckis production, and Robert Zemeckis either just had success or was about to have some success with Forrest Gump. So
Nelson Patrick Mears, you think you're so smart? I'll show you what smart is.
Pretty good, huh? Sister Mary, what's her name? She never did like you much. Check this out.
Mears, you better start running.
Jamie McKenna. Boy, did he used to kick the shit out of you.
We're gonna have an even bigger problem if you don't get that program written.
so now he's bringing all these negative forces from Nelson's past and present in order to dominate, I guess.
Tip of the iceberg, Nelson. Man, shit runs deep and dark inside your head. You think Sunny Beauty there is gonna save you from all this like I have? I don't think so.
Start running.
Pick up the pillow. You know what to do. Do it. Do it. Come on, Nelson. Do it.
This is not a good episode. It's really, really not.
I'm gonna miss you, pal.
So they go out the window, but we don't know what really happened. I don't think, or at least I don't know what really happened.
Doing this program, and then I got a few finishing touches that got your name on it, alright? I love you, Jane. Jack, get in here!
God, no, he's such a fucking tool.
Where's the schedule for the voice activation presentation? It's supposed to be on my desk yesterday.
Yesterday. Now he's even got this accent.
Work faster, dickhead.
Faster, dickhead.
been with your performance lately? These past few days, it's like you're a new man or something.
Oh, well, I'll tell you, Thelma, the only person holding me back before was me. So I simply got me out of the way.
Well, whatever you did, it worked. I see VP stripes in your future.
Hmm. Womp, womp.
Oh, Nelson. 1 minute he's in charge, the next he's aghast in his own home. As for me, kiddies, I'm afraid I've given up my water wings for dry land. My producers insist I get a little R&R. Uh-oh, looks like I've got something.
No matter how bad the episodes are, you can always count on a good intro and outro from the Crypt Keeper. I think that's the most important thing. So that was Operation Friendship. Thanks for staying with me to the bitter, bitter end. Hope you'll come back and join me for future commentaries. And until next time, this is Brandon Ford wishing you all unpleasant dreams.